another daily prayer here. I've decided with the daily readings. Oh, is that my shadow that's covering that? I'm going to turn one more light on. Is that a little bit better? The bottom of this is kind of in a shadow, I'm realizing. So I'm going to try to adjust this a little bit. So I can move it up. Okay. I think that's about the best that I'm going to be able to do here. So, I've decided to start reading through the book of Job. It's I think I'm not going to do much commentary or anything like that. I think I'm mostly just going to read, and as we go, maybe if there's one or two things that really pop out to me that I feel like I really want to say something about, maybe I'll stop, make a little note of that. But beyond that, I think we're just gonna try to keep it moving. Or maybe I can make this better, the lighting. No, I think I do just have to move this up a bit. It's kind of annoying. I'm not sure where that shadow is coming from. I guess, I mean, it's still readable. It's a little annoying, but I think I'm just gonna have to deal with it for now. Try to figure out what the better shots and angles that I have are, but oops, okay. Finger's a little banged up. All right, anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and read, and probably not gonna stop too much. But if something really pops out to me, maybe I'll make a note of it. And hi, Bretsky. I will pray for Charlie's family. When I was starting out the stream today, actually, I did want to say a prayer for remembrance on this day of 9/11, during the tragedy that struck our nation, and the terrorist attack took down the World Trade Center and the two towers. We lost not so many civilians and first responders that day in such a horrible tragedy, and especially in the wake of the political violence that we saw yesterday. I just wanted to start the stream today with a prayer, so that's what I'm going to do here. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear God, in this time of uncertainty and turmoil, after we have experienced an event of violence, we ask that you comfort us. We ask that you bring peace to the families of those who are afflicted. We ask that you bring peace to those who witness such a horrible event, especially, again, the family of that person, as well as all the others who were there and who must have been traumatized by the things that they saw. God, we know that you are good, and yet bad things happen. We know that you are great, and yet still tragedies like this occur. And even still, in the wake of something like this, we know that you love us, and we still turn to you for your grace and your wisdom, for what we should do next and how we should respond in the face of a crisis and an event like this. And God, I especially ask that you pour out your peace over the world at this time, and not just America, which appears to be in a state of great political tension, but also the rest of the world looking on with their own struggles and wars, even wondering what America is going to be doing next. Pour out your peace, God. Pour out your love and understanding over us and the whole world. Make it known that you are the master of all nations. Instill in us a fear for you that is greater than our hatred for each other. As unfortunate as it is, it appears to me that we are beginning to truly hate one another. So, God, I also ask you not only pour out your peace and love over the whole earth, but I specifically ask you to ease our own, ease our our willingness, ease our willingness to be angry with another person we disagree with. Ease our willingness to disregard the other person, and make us less eager for those things, and make us more patient, make us eager for agreement and for understanding. But pour out your peace over the world today, and pour out your love, and remember those who we lost, and hold their souls dear, God. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. All right, well, that was a big prayer to start off the stream. I think I may have gotten a little overly winded with it, but it's okay. Let's just now get into the reading. It is a bit of a somber day, but I think the book of Job is a good place to be starting on a day like this. And I'm normal, yes, I am reading the Bible, and I was just starting out after doing a little intro prayer for 9/11, as well as for the tragedy that occurred yesterday with Charlie Kirk. But anyways, I am going to begin now. Okay, so the book of Job. The book of Job, named after its protagonist, parentheses, apparently not an Israelite, is an exquisite, dramatic treatment of the problem of suffering of the innocent. The contents of the book, together with its artistic structure and elegant style, place it among the literary masterpieces of all time. This is a literary composition, and not a transcript of historical events and conversations. The prologue provides the setting for Job's testing. When challenged by the Satan's questioning of Job's sincerity, the Lord gives leave for a series of catastrophes to afflict Job. 3 friends come to console him. Job breaks out in complaint, and a cycle of speeches begins. Job's friends insist that his plight can only be a punishment for personal wrongdoing and an invitation from God to repent. Job rejects their inadequate explanation and challenges God to respond. A young bystander, Elihu, I'll do my best for name pronunciations, but there's no way I'll get everything right. Let's see here. A young bystander, Elihu, now delivers 4 speeches in support of the views of the 3 friends. In response to Job's plea that he be allowed to see God and hear directly the reason for his suffering, the Lord answers, not by explaining divine justice, but by cataloging the wonders of creation. Job is apparently content with this, and in an epilogue, the Lord restores Job's fortune. The author or authors of this book are unknown. It was probably composed sometime between the 7th and 5th centuries BC. Its literary pattern, with speeches, prologue, and epilogue disposed according to a studied plan, indicates that the purpose of the writing is didactic. So it's supposed to tell you something. I don't mean to be patronizing, but for anyone who doesn't know what didactic is, it just means it's supposed to be a lesson of some kind. There's supposed to be a moral or like a teaching. Well, okay, sorry. It says it in the next sentence anyway. But the lessons that the book teaches are not transparent. And different interpretations of the divine speeches and of the final chapter are possible. The book of Job does not definitively answer the problem of suffering of the innocent, but challenges readers to come to their own understanding. That's a big deal. The book of Job can be divided as follows. Chapter 1, prologue. Chapter 2, first cycle of speeches. Chapter 3, second cycle of speeches. Chapter 4, third cycle of speeches. Chapter 5, the poem on wisdom. Chapter 6, Job's final summary of his cause. Chapter 7, Elihu's speeches. Chapter 8, the Lord and Job meet. Chapter 9, epilogue. Well, I'm going to move the Bible here to the other side. Okay, and we'll start back over at the top for chapter 1. Prologue, chapter 1. Job's piety. In the land of Uz, there was a blameless and upright man named Job, who feared God and avoided evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. Sorry, I have to move this just a little bit, see it a little better. And he had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-donkeys, and a very large household, so that he was greater than anyone in the East. His sons used to take turns giving feasts, sending invitations to their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when each feast had run its course, Job would send for them and sanctify them, rising early and offering sacrifices for every one of them. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Job did this habitually. The interview between the Lord and the Satan. It's interesting how they refer to Satan as the Satan in this. One day, when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came among them. The Lord said to the Satan, "Where have you been?" Then the Satan answered, and the Lord said, roaming the earth. Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, roaming the earth and patrolling it. The Lord said to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil." The Satan answered the Lord and said, "Is it for nothing that Job is God-fearing? Have you not surrounded him and his family and all that he has with your protection? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock are spread over the land. But now put forth your hand and touch all that he has, and surely he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to the Satan, "Very well. All that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on him." So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. The first trial. One day, while eating, excuse me, one day, while his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the house of their eldest brother, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys grazing beside them, and the Sabaeans carried them off in a raid. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "God's fire has fallen from heaven and struck the sheep and the servants and consumed them. I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 columns, seized the camels, carried them off, and put the servants to the sword. I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another came and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the house of their eldest brother, and suddenly a great wind came from across the desert and smashed the 4 corners of the house. It fell upon the young people, and they are dead. I alone have escaped to tell you." Job's reaction. Then Job arose and tore his cloak and cut off his hair. He fell to the ground and worshipped. He said, "Naked I came forth from my mother's womb, and naked I go back there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin, nor did he charge God with wrong. Chapter 2, the second interview. One day, when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, the Satan also came with them. The Lord said to the Satan, "Where have you been?" Then the Satan answered the Lord and said, "Roaming the earth and patrolling it." The Lord said to the Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil. He still holds fast to his innocence, although you incited me against him to ruin him for nothing." The Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin, all that a man has he will give for his life. But put forth your hand and touch his bone and his flesh. Then surely he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to the Satan, "He is in your power, only spare his life." The second trial. So the Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with severe boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job's reaction. He took a potsherd to scrape himself, as he sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still holding to your innocence? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as foolish women do. We accept good things from God. Should we not accept evil?" Through all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Job's 3 friends. Now when 3 of Job's friends heard of all the misfortune that had come upon him, they set out each one from his own place. Eliphaz from Teman, Bildad from Shuh, and Zophar from Naamath. They met and journeyed together to give him sympathy and comfort. But when at a distance they lifted up their eyes and did not recognize him, they began to weep aloud. They tore their cloaks and threw dust into the air over their heads. Then they sat down upon the ground with him 7 days and 7 nights, but none of them spoke a word to him, for they saw how great was his suffering. Part 2, the first cycle of speeches, Chapter 3. Job's complaint. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Job spoke out and said, Perish the day on which I was born, the night when they said, "The child is a boy." May that day be darkness. May God above not care for it. May light not shine upon it. May darkness and gloom claim it. Clouds settle upon it. Blackness of day affright it. May obscurity seize that night. May it not be counted among the days of the year, nor enter into the number of the months. May that night be barren. Let no joyful outcry greet it. Let them curse it who curse the sea, those skilled at disturbing Leviathan. May the stars of its twilight be darkened. May it look for daylight, but have none, nor gaze on the eyes of the dawn, because it did not keep shut the doors of the womb, to shield my eyes from trouble. Why did I not die at birth, come forth from the womb and expire? Why did knees receive me or breasts nurse me? For then I should have laid down and been tranquil. Had I slept, I should then have been at rest, with kings and counselors of the earth who rebuilt what were ruins, or with princes who had gold and filled their houses with silver. Or why was I not buried away like a stillborn child, like babies that have never seen the light? There, the wicked cease from troubling. There, the weary are at rest. The captives are at ease together, and hear no overseer's voice. Small and great are there. The servant is free from the master. Why is light given to the toilers, life to the bitter in spirit? They wait for death, and it does not come. They search for it more than for hidden treasures. They rejoin in it exultingly. They rejoice in it exultingly, and are glad when they find the grave. A man whose path is hidden from him, one whom God has hemmed in. For to me sighing comes more readily than food. My groans well forth like water. For what I feared overtakes me, what I dreaded comes upon me. I have no peace nor ease. I have no rest, for trouble has come. Okay, I have to pause just one moment to reflect on the line, on those last few lines. To me, sighing comes more readily than food. My groans well forth like water. Those are great lines. Also very thematic in Hebrew texts to have a repetitive line there where it says, you can see there's two repetitive lines. There's two couplets of repetitive lines here in a row. It says, when it says, sighing comes more readily than food, my groans well forth like water. So those are parallel lines and images, right? Sighing is more readily coming than, a sustenance that you need. And then the groans are welling forth like sustenance. So it's saying similar things and it's posing parallel images. And then it's doing it again, actually. For what I feared overtakes me, what I dreaded comes upon me. This is a common literary device in Hebrew texts. What I feared overtakes me and what I dreaded comes upon me are different ways of saying the same thing. That one is more direct. The first one, perhaps they are saying slightly different things. Sighing more readily than food and groans well forth like water is a little bit different. But with this one, you can clearly see what I mean. these two lines say the same thing with different, artistic language. And it's sort of to put an emphasis on it, as well as to sort of show off how many different ways you know how to say the same thing, I suppose. Okay, let's do a few more chapters here. How about that? Chapter 4, Eliphaz's first speech. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, "If someone attempts a word with you, would you mind? How can anyone refrain from speaking? Look, you have instructed many and made firm their feeble hands. Your words have upheld the stumbler. You have strengthened faltering knees. But now that it comes to you, you are impatient. When it touches you, you are dismayed. Is not your piety a source of confidence, and your integrity of life your hope? Reflect now what innocent person perishes. Where are the upright destroyed? As I see it, those who plow mischief and sow trouble will reap them. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his wrath they are consumed. Though the lion roars, though the king of beasts cries out, yet the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness are scattered. A word was stealthily brought to me. In my ear caught a whisper of it. In my thoughts during visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on mortals, fear came upon me, and shuddering that terrified me to the bone. Then a spirit passed before me, and the hair of my body stood on end. It paused, but its likeness I could not recognize. A figure was before my eyes. In silence, I heard a voice. Can anyone be more in the right than God? Can mortals be more blameless than their Maker? Look, he puts no trust in his servants, and even with his messengers, he finds fault. How much more with those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed more easily than a moth. Morning or evening, they may be shattered. Unnoticed, they perish forever. The pegs of their tent are plucked up. They die without knowing wisdom. Call now. Will anyone respond to you? Chapter 5, I'm now starting. To which of the holy ones will you turn? Surely impatience kills the fool, and indignation slays the simpleton. I have seen a fool spreading his roots, but I cursed his household suddenly. May his children be far from safety. May they be crushed at the gate without a rescuer. What they have reaped may the hungry eat up, or God take away by blight, or the thirsty swallow their substance. For not from dust does mischief come, nor from the soil does trouble sprout. Human beings beget mischief as sparks fly upward. In your place I would appeal to God, and to God I would state my plea. He does things great and unsearchable, things marvelous and innumerable. He gives rain upon the earth and sends water upon the fields. He sets up the lowly on high, and those who mourn are raised to safety. He frustrates the plans of the cunning, so that their hands achieve no success. He catches the wise in their own ruses, and the designs of the crafty are routed. They meet with darkness in the daytime. At noonday they grope, as though it were night. But he saves the poor from the sword of their mouth, from the hand of the mighty. Thus the needy have hope, and iniquity closes its mouth. Happy the one whom God reproves. The Almighty's discipline do not reject. For he wounds, but he binds up. He strikes, but his hands give healing. Out of 6 troubles he will deliver you, and at the 7th no evil shall touch you. In famine he will deliver you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. From the scourge of the tongue you shall be hidden, and you shall not fear approaching ruin. At ruin and want you shall laugh. The beasts of the earth do not fear. With the stones of the field shall your covenant be, and with the wild beasts shall be at peace with you, and you shall know that your tent is secure. Taking stock of your household, you shall miss nothing. You shall know that your descendants are many, and your offspring like the grass of the earth. You shall approach the grave in full vigor, as a shock of grain comes in at its season. See, this we have searched out. So it is. This we have heard, and you should know. Job's reply stretches quite a while, so I think we can maybe pause there. We'll pause there at the end of the first speech of Eliphaz, and then tomorrow we'll go ahead and pick back up with Job's first reply, and then we'll keep going along from there. This was a great reading today. I really enjoyed doing this. I hope that anyone who came by and is still hanging out, enjoyed the reading. The book of Job has some really, and it addresses a really still relevant topic, which is the suffering of innocent people. And we're just sort of starting to breach into the ideas of it here, right? So Job has now lost so much of his riches, and he is afflicted with physical ailments. And now we've gotten to the point, and he still won't curse God, even when Job's own wife has told him that he should just go ahead and die now at this point because of how sorry his life is and how horrible the suffering he has gone through. And yet Job still does not curse God. And so now we're getting into the speeches of his friends. And this first friend, he says, he sort of, tells him, that basically innocent people, will still rise up and have power at the end of the day. I think is sort of what I'm getting out of it. Because he says, is not your piety a source of confidence, and your integrity of life your hope? What innocent person perishes? Where are the upright destroyed? So, he's still basically just sort of saying the idealistic view. His friend's speech to me seems to be sort of reflecting the idealistic view that God will not punish upright people or let bad things happen to them, which is interesting because Job has just lost everything, even though he's an upright man. And he is now, has no more riches and has lost all of his own personal wealth. Interesting. So basically, he's saying human beings are the ones who are troublemakers, not God. And if he was Job, he would plead to God still, because God is so great that he has the power to do anything. And he's saying God may hurt you, but he'll heal you back up. He'll deliver you out of 6 troubles, and at the 7th no evil shall touch you. So even when things go bad, you still need to appeal to God and ask him for help and to deliver you from the situation that you're in. Basically, Job's first friend is saying, if I was in your situation, I would bank on the fact that I'm a pious man and I would appeal to God still, because it's humans who cause trouble and evil. Even though most of Job's issues here, or not most of them, actually, it's not true, but some of them were caused by natural events, right? So some of the things that happened to Job were because people robbed him and stole his things. But some of the bad things that took away of all of Job's stuff were because of natural disasters. So it does make sense what Eliphaz is saying here, that it's humans who beget evil and mischief and to keep appealing to God. But there's also an element that, Job has also just fallen sick and natural disasters have occurred to him even. So, how do we account for how those things could still be happening? You can easily see how free will is a big part of the explanation of why suffering exists for innocent people. And that is to say, it's because humans have free will. They are able to choose to do harm to other humans, in particular innocent humans, unfortunately. And because God does not break his promises and he has promised free will to humans, he will not intervene even in a situation where an innocent person is going to be hurt by another human, unfortunately. So that goes to say that, how could a good and great God allow for innocent people to suffer? Well, free will is part of that. And that God has allowed our love to be meritorious. God has allowed humans to choose to have a relationship with him freely. And if it were any different, then we wouldn't really be choosing it. We would just be acting within our instinct, right? There would be, and that would not be a genuine, it would be a less genuine relationship. And God has chosen to give people the opportunity to have that more genuine relationship by choosing to submit themselves to his will, even though they have their own. So sometimes people do not, and God won't stop them. So that part definitely explains how humans can cause suffering on humans. But what about things like natural disasters or disease, right? So maybe that will be addressed in the chapters we have coming up. Well, anyways, thank you anyone who came by and joined today and had a good reflection with me, reading the Bible, maybe just a nice meditative time, taking a few minutes out of the day to sort of just rest your mind and be with Scripture. And I'm planning to continue to try to do this every day. If people have feedback on the audio or how the Bible is set up, I would love to have any feedback you have. If you can't really see the Bible that well, I can try to make a different setup happen. Or if the sound is weird, let me know. And also, if you enjoyed this, then go ahead and give the channel some love, and hopefully I'll see you around again, because like I said, I'm planning to make this a regular occurrence. I really want to be engaging with the Bible regularly. And the book of Job, I have started before and then not finished. And that's what I'm trying to avoid in this go around. So I think that'll do it all for me today. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. Appreciate the support. I'll keep you in my prayers. I know it's kind of a troublesome time for some people, or just a little unsettled by recent events. And other people are not. So, it's a time where we really just need to be patient with each other and give each other a lot of grace, I think. So hopefully we can all do that. And, I'll be keeping the stream up with the goal of that in mind. Just being a good, positive force out there, a good place for people to have positive conversations. Well, so that'll wrap it up today, and I'll be back tomorrow with another daily Bible reading. So, great Bible reading today, and we will be back at it tomorrow. We'll be picking back up with chapter 6 in the book of Job here, and I'll give a little summary in the beginning before we start for anyone who missed. All right, well, anyone who's still hanging around, take care. And I hope that everybody has a blessed day. God bless everyone. And keep me in your prayers, please, as I will do the same for you. All right.